Welcome to Off Balance, the podcast where faith, family, and business collide. I'm Dr. Brooks, a certified master life coach, transformational speaker, and author. Join me as we explore the journey of overcoming adversity and developing resilience. It's time for you to find your strength and reclaim balance. This is Off Balance.
Welcome to Off Balance. I'm Dr. Brooks, your host, here to inspire, encourage, and empower you with practical wisdom and biblical principles. Today, I want to talk to you about what my life has been like in the federal government for the past month. As many of you know, our administration changed on January 20th. And so now that we have a new administration, things are kind of shaking up in the federal government. I have been an HR professional for the federal government since 2010. And I can't say that this is my first time that things have been shaken up, but I can say that this is my first time experiencing it in this manner. And I want to just share my experience and kind of give you guys insight on what's going on with me personally. So, first thing, I am a remote worker. And so what I'm trying to figure out now is what is the plan for my agency as it relates to the return back to work mandate. And so I do not live within 50 miles of an office. And so basically I will have one or two options. One option would be for my agency to locate an office for myself to go into that's within my local commuting area. Or my agency can say, no, we want you to relocate to headquarters. Headquarters for me would be DC. And so I would probably have the option to, work locally if they can find a federal building in my city, or option B would be to move, right? And then the next thing that's on the table is a reduction in force. Reduction in force is basically a structural process that the federal agency use when they need to downsize. As you know, the current administration, they are saying that the government is too big and that the government needs to downsize. And so downsizing is necessary as it relates to budget, reorganization. It can be lack of work or other operational needs. And so basically the Office of Personnel Management, which is OPM, they oversee the rules governing a RIF. And they basically just ensure that the agencies are in compliance with merit system principles and the legal protection for employees. And this administration, they really want a reduction in force to occur, and they want it to occur quickly. But unfortunately, it is not a quick process. The last time that I was involved with the reduction in force was in, I think, 2011 or 2012, when I was stationed in JBLM. We had to do a reduction in force. And so a reduction in force takes couple of months, because essentially you have to do strategic planning and you have to do like a mission analysis. And so you have to assess mission requirements and workforce needs. And then once you assess that data, then you have to determine which positions are critical and which positions may be eliminated or restructured. And then what you want to do is you want to look at trying to do minimum impact. And so you want to explore any voluntary options. And so the hiring freeze, that's one option that can be done. You can look at reassignments. You can look at voluntary early retirement, which is what we call VERA. And you can also look at buyouts, those voluntary separations, incentive payments, which is VSIP. The government has not done VSIPs yet, but what the president tried to do was a deferred resignation program. And so he was trying to cut the size of the government by that program. But a lot of people did not take it. I think out of the 2 million employees, only about 75,000 took it. And so that's another way that you can kind of minimize the impact. The next thing that you have to do is you have to define your competitive areas and your levels. And so when I talk about competitive areas, basically employees compete for retention within a competitive area. And that is going to be defined by the agency structure and location. So for me, although I'm a remote employee, my competitive area, if we had to do a reduction in force, would be Washington, D.C. And so basically, I would be placed in Washington, D.C. in the competitive area, and then I would be grouped into competitive levels based on my series, my grade, and my duties, right? And so that's how that works. Once the competitive areas are determined, and then we have to go into what we call establishing retention standing. And so once we, identify the competitive areas, employees are then ranked based on four factors. That's going to be tenure group. You have career, then you have career conditional, and then you have those indefinite or term or whatever you want to have. Then you have veterans preference, you have length of service, and you have performance. So employees with a higher retention standing have priority for retention. And so once those individuals are identified, the next thing that we can do is bump and retreat. What is bump and retreat? So employees may have the right to bump a displaced lower ranking employee, or they can retreat, which means that they can reclaim a previous held position based on their standing. And so once you go through all of the bumping and the retreating, then you would do your RIF notices. And once those notices go out, the employees have the right to appeal. So agencies have to give the employees at least 60 days written notice that they are going to be affected. And the employees may appeal the decision with the Merit System Protection Board, which is called MSPB, or they can file a grievance. And so this is not a quick process. And because the media and because the current administration has placed such a disdain on federal employees, people are cheering and people are so excited about about people losing their jobs, not recognizing that there are so many laws in place that protect federal employees. And so federal employees are not mad at what's happening. They are mad at the fact that it's not following the laws that are in place, right? And so with everything, there are laws. And so we just have to be mindful that if you want to downsize the government, that's fine, but you have to make sure that you do it in a way that is legal. And so, again, the notices have to go out. They have to give the employees 60 days, and then the employees have the right to appeal to the MSPB. Once those notifications go out, the employees may have access to what we call the Career Transition Assistance Plan, which is CTAP, or Interagency Career Transition Assistance Plans, which is ICTAP, in order for them to find a new jobs within the federal government, within their local community area, at the same or lower graded position. When it comes to CTAP or ICTAP, employees cannot get a promotion. And so, when we talk about reduction in force, that's never an easy process. There are so many regulations that ensure that fairness and transparency happen across agencies. And so agencies must carefully plan and execute RIFs, because you want to minimize disruption, while you also want to assist those displaced employees into transitioning to new opportunities. And so at the moment, I don't know what my fate is, right? But what I am doing, I'm trusting God, because, like I said, I can either have to relocate. I've been in my current city for 11 years, and so I have essentially built a life here. But there's a possibility that I may have to relocate. That's worst case scenario. Or my agency can find a federal building within my city, and then I would just have to go back into the office, which is fine. It's not a big deal. The majority of my career I spent in the office. It's just the last 5 years I took a job with a different agency, and they were transitioning to becoming a fully remote agency. And so for this particular agency, I've never had to go into the office. And so that would be new. But like I said, it's fine. It's not a big deal. So once I get past the hurdle of would I have to go in local or would I have to move, then here's the hurdle of will I have a position? Because I don't know how things will play out with the bump and retreat, right? I don't know. I do know my performance has been outstanding for the last 5 or 6 years. performance appraisals. And so that is a good thing for me, because when you go through the reduction in force process, you get actual years credited for performance. And so that will make my length of service a little greater. But again, I don't have veterans preference. And so when it comes to that, um, I may not be, one of the higher ones within my category. And so that's something that, can cause a little worry, but I have faith and I believe that God is going to work it out. And so I have not been watching social media. I have not been paying attention to the news. When I hear that a new executive order has been signed, I just go directly to the White House website. I read it for myself. I look at the laws and the regulations that govern that particular area, and I just make sure that it is in compliance, and just try to figure out what direction the president is going with what he's doing. I think the reason why a lot of people are just so nervous and just so confused is because he's moving at a pace that is so fast, right? He's moving at a pace that is so fast. And so, since he's moving at a pace that is so fast, I think it's causing people to be afraid. But I just want to encourage you. We have systems in place for a reason, and I just think that each branch of the government is going to do what they're responsible for doing. I know it may seem like people are being quiet. I know it may seem like that there's no hope, but I trust in God and I believe that God is going to work it out. So if you are a federal employee, I just want to encourage you to stay, rooted in your faith. I want to encourage you to try not to worry about things that you cannot control. We cannot control what our leadership is doing. We cannot control, our fate. But what we can control is our perspective, and what we can control is our attitude. And so I just wanted to kind of explain the reduction in force process while I do this episode, because I know that there are so many people that are probably, confused. They're probably unsure. And we're going to be fine. We are going to be fine. Regardless of what happens, we are going to be fine because we serve a God that is not going to allow his children to suffer. And so if you are not directly impacted, don't gloat, and don't, praise, and don't enjoy what's going on with federal workers, because federal workers are children and they are created in God's image and likeness, just like everyone else. I'm not sure why people feel like we're so lazy. I'm not sure why people feel like we're wasting taxpayer dollars when we pay taxes as well. And we actually do work. I think people are just confused about what we do. And so where there's confusion, there's room for interpretation and misinterpretation. And it gives people, the ability to make things up, or whatever the case is. But I have enjoyed my time as a government employee. I love my job. I love what I do. I love the people that I work with. I love the agencies that I've worked with throughout my career. And so hopefully this is not the end for me. Hopefully, things are going to work out and God is going to intervene. But I just trust God, and I'm not going to get before him. Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't have the answers right now. And so if you are in the same situation as me, don't get before God. Don't try to, work things out. Don't try to figure things out. Wait until you get official notifications. Wait until your agency releases notifications. It is so easy to look at, oh my God, GSA says that they're going to do a reduction in force. Department of Defense says they're going to do a reduction in force. And you can look at all of these different agencies and you can begin to speak things, and you can begin to feel a certain way about things. And that could not be the case for your agency. And so it's not a one size fit all approach. And so as you are waiting, just pray for your leadership that they make the best decision for your agency. Because like I said, reduction in force, that's serious. You have to take your time. You have to scrub the data, make sure that the data is clean, because your input is going to determine your output. And you don't want to jeopardize the careers of people that should not even be considered because their records are wrong. So if you are a federal employee, go through your personnel folder, look at your records, and make sure that your records are updated with your HR office. Make sure that if you have veterans preference, that your veterans preference is annotated. If you bought back time, whatever it is that you've done, make sure that those records are updated. I do want to encourage you, download your EOPF. Make sure that your EOPF is accessible to you. You want to make sure that just everything is there. Benefits forms. You want to make sure that everything is in that record, and you want to make sure that everything is accurate. You should do that all the time. You should not wait until there's a shakeup, or you should not wait until there's a potential reduction in force. You want to make sure that your records are current at all times. And so, again, I am just waiting. Like I said, I don't know if I would have to just go into a local office or if I would have to relocate. I don't know if my agency would have a reduction in force. If so, I don't know where I would fall. And so I'm just going to stay positive, and I'm going to trust God, and I'm going to continue to spread hope. And I pray that you guys do the same. So this particular episode, like I said, I just wanted to shine light on what's going on with me. I am behind on my content simply because I just have a lot going on, but I wanted to just touch base. And if you have any questions about, what to do, or if you have any questions about how things work, just let me know, and I will do my best to answer those questions for you. Employees that have more than 12 months of continuous service, they will have servants. They will get servants pay. Servants pay is calculated by your base salary, and then it goes by your base salary. It goes by your years of service, and then your age, and then that's how it's calculated. And so servants pay will come into play if a reduction in force takes place. And so people can get service pay up to 52 weeks. And so that will be, something that's good. And then if you get another federal job, of course, your severance pay will stop. And so there's a lot of things that goes into play. Servants pay does not take into consideration your actual locality. And so servants pay is calculated based on the basic pay table. And so you will lose money. So you won't get your full salary, of course. So that's something to consider as well. And so I just, again, want to encourage everyone, stay positive. Know that you do have rights as federal employees. Don't allow what the public is saying to make you feel like what you're doing does not matter, because I know it matters. I know that our positions are necessary. And remember the oath that you took to defend the Constitution of the United States. That oath is not to a political party, it's not to an administration, it's to the Constitution. And so I just want to encourage you guys to keep being the great civil servants that you are. I want to encourage you to continue to do your best. When those emails come in and it feels like you are in a hostile environment, it feels like you're being pressured, if it feels like that you are just being pushed out, know that this is a psychological battle. And the only way that you're going to be able to survive if you don't focus on those things. Don't focus on those things. Just remember your why. Remember that this was once a great place to work. Remember that this was once a place where you can thrive, and whatever it is, just hold on to those memories and know that it will go back to normal sooner than later. So again, if you have any questions, let me know. Be sure that you guys share this with your family and friends, and just know that federal employees are humans. Federal employees are doing the best that they can. Make sure that you guys are checking in on them. Make sure that your mental health is well. And just know that this is a ripple effect. I'm noticing that some of those private sector companies, they're also doing layoffs. And so, again, I am praying for everyone. I am praying that you guys are strong in your mind, and that depression and anxiety does not take hold of you, and that you just stay positive, and that you know that this too shall pass. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. And be sure to like, comment, and share. And I will see you guys on the next episode.
Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to rate this episode and share it with your family and friends. To learn more about your host,